Live. Hello, Facebook family. Thank you all for joining us. I'm grateful that you all had some time to share with us tonight. We've been doing these lives now daily. Yesterday we had Pastor and Bishop Bart Pierce.
Yes.
Try saying that really fast on here last night, and he did an amazing job. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. I don't know, baby. Did you see how many people viewed it already? I didn't even look yet.
Have not.
I didn't even look yet. And then the day before that, we had Carlos and Cece Spencer.
That one has over 12,000 views.
Yeah, over 12,000 views on that one so far, just in 2 days, you all.
And so over 40,000 people.
Oh wow, over 40,000 is touched.
Yeah,
that's awesome. All right, and we share these numbers, of course, not about bragging, but mostly to tell you how many people are being blessed.
Right.
And so, we've talked about a single person's perspective, a married couple's perspective, a pastor's perspective, and tonight we're going to hear from a millionaire's perspective. And the gentleman that we have the pleasure of sharing the stage with today, you can see his beautiful face right there on the screen.
Handsome.
Oh, handsome. My wife's correcting me. You're right. My wife's the only beautiful face that I look at, right?
Aw,
and so listen, before we even jump in, he is such a funny guy too. He has an amazing sense of humor. Every time I get on the phone with him, we laugh so much. And this is a friendship that's, wow, geez, now I'm thinking about it. It's over a decade now that we've known each other. And he has poured so much into my mind.
Yes.
Look, you all, I would say that the information he shared with us in our pursuit of financial a fortress around our family literally has generated millions into our household. I'm not kidding. And that's what he does, you all. I call him the money man. No kidding. In fact, let me tell you all a few of his accolades. I actually had to write them down because there were so many. I wrote just a few, you all. I'm not kidding. So here's a gentleman who he left school in the 6th grade. Okay. He couldn't read a word, did not read his first word until he was 31 years old. Why is that so important? A lot of you that may be watching right now thinking, man, I don't have enough time to even do half of what he did. He didn't read his first word until he was 31. So you are ahead of him more than likely in terms of your pursuit. All right. That's just those 2 things. He's authored 6 books. He's a gentleman. This gentleman, let me tell you these last 2 accolades real quick. He was recognized as South Carolina Businessman of the Year for his city of Charleston, South Carolina. He was then recognized again for Charleston, South Carolina Businessman of the Year for the state of South Carolina. And then he was recognized nationally as one of the top 50 businessmen in the country. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about from local to moving towards global recognition. Right. And then, of course, just to give you an idea in terms of worth, right? And again, money is not everything, but it's just a good way for you to say, okay, well, this guy's been, that's right. This guy's been keeping score and doing a great job. So his companies have grossed over $500 million. Did y'all hear that? Over $500 million in money, in income, in revenue. So listen. Without further ado, again, you all intended to hear from us. You all came in tonight to hear from Mr. Frank Aucoin. So, sir, can you hear us okay?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, sir. And first of all, let me just say this to you publicly, sir. Thank you for the hours, the 12 midnight, 1 a.m. conversations we've had over the years where you just poured into this young guy who didn't really know much about money. And you've blessed my wife and I, and now our children are being blessed. I mean, the residual of your teaching, you just have no idea how much you mean to my family. So again, I want to thank you publicly for that. Mr. Aucoin, man, Frank, I'll call you Frank. I call you Uncle Frank, right? As my rich uncle, as I call him, Uncle Frank. So Uncle Frank, first question, how in the world did you and your family even amass this fortune? How did you all get on this path?
Well, let me do this first. I understand you're getting ready to have another baby?
Yes, sir. Number 6.
Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what, number 5?
No, 6.
Number 6.
Yep. Basketball team. I got a bench warmer now.
You told me people from your country have a lot of children, right?
Oh, they weren't kidding.
That's not a joke. To all the people we're speaking to worldwide, it's just an honor to be on with y'all tonight. And he called me just a day or 2 ago and said he wanted to do this. So it's an honor to spend a few moments with y'all. And if you can pick something up, I think that would be wonderful. We got a little to share. We probably won't get much, but we'll get some.
Yes.
So your first question is what? How we got started?
Yes. How did you get started? Yes.
Well, like you said, I was raised by, you didn't say this, but I was raised by a single mom, and she had 8 children.
Wow.
And we had no money, and I'm sure people from around the world can, you know, they look good and smell good, but they're broke. And we kind of like that. And so, you know, and I left school in 6th grade because I couldn't read and dropped out, and I couldn't get jobs because I couldn't fill out the job application. If you can't read, you can't fill out a job application.
Mm-hmm.
So no one would hire me. You can't get a driver's license because you can't take a test. So, you know, I didn't have much of a choice. I had to start businesses myself because I didn't have to fill out an application for me.
Wow.
I started little businesses. And don't get me wrong, you can make big money with little businesses. Matter of fact, I wrote this saying up here for you. I picked it up out of the Bible a little earlier. In Corinthians 1:27, it says, God has confounded the wise with simple things.
Mm.
I'll give you an illustration of that. Oprah Winfrey, most people around the world know who Oprah is, right?
Yes.
One of my favorite people in the world, Oprah. With a couch and a microphone and a bunch of questions, she became the first woman billionaire with just a couch and a microphone, a camera, and a few questions.
Wow.
And there are people who do nothing but supply soda straws to people.
Mm.
They're billionaires. Just soda straws and toothpicks and napkins. So you don't have to do anything fancy, you know, to make a lot of money. You just have to understand how to make money. And you can use the simplest things you want to earn money. And what my wife and I did by the way, I met my wife, and thank God she was a special ed teacher. She taught children with learning disabilities. Now, I met her when I was 30. We got married, 31, Teresa? Yeah, we got married at 31. And in 2 weeks, she taught me how to read.
Wow.
Oh.
I had an eye motor problem, and no one knew it. In fact, they didn't know about special ed or anything, but she knew because she was a special ed teacher. So I lucked up and married her.
Mm.
Helped me get through that. A lot of times, you know, most people are smart enough to do whatever they want to do, but they don't have a teacher or a mentor, an example of what to do. But she knew how to do that, and
Wow.
then we were broke. You know, we just got married. We were broke, and we were living in a little mobile home. I don't know if people around the world know what that is, but we lived in this little mobile home.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working. I got a job just hauling shingles up a ladder because my lawn business I had stopped because the grass stopped growing, and I went to work hauling this shingles up a ladder and fell off the ladder.
Ooh.
I was 2 stories up, and as I fell off the ladder, I said, "This is going to leave a scar." You know, so I landed. It knocked me out, and they got me home, and I was in bed for a few weeks. Couldn't work, and my wife was in college, and we're really broke now. Now there's no money for anything, no money for food or anything. We didn't have heat in the house. We didn't have anything. And I laid in bed, and I was 31 years old. She was 21 years old. And I said, you know, if you're so damn smart, why don't you have enough money to pay the light bill? If you're so bright.
Right.
I was fighting with my conscience. I said, I'm going to figure out how to get rich. I'm going to figure this whole thing out.
Mm-hmm.
And after about 3 weeks, I had figured it out. And from the time I figured it out, about a few years later, we made our first $1 million. And
Wow.
now, many millions, obviously, but that's how it all happened. And to get started, what I did was to start gathering. When you're talking about money, there's something you need to understand. Before there's wealth creation, there's wealth education.
Right.
That's what you want me to cover tonight, a little wealth education.
Yes.
So you learn how to gather wealth, and then you learn how to grow wealth, and you learn how to allocate wealth, you learn how to protect wealth, and you learn how to enjoy the wealth. Sooner or later, you will transfer the wealth to your family.
Right.
First thing I needed to do was gather some wealth. I needed to get some money. And so I had a little thing at the house, and it was broken, and I didn't need it. So I asked some people, I said, would you like to have this? I'd like to trade this. I don't want any money, but I want to trade this for something. And what I did is took that object, and it was actually a little gun, a real gun, a little pistol, a little .22 pistol. It was broke. Somebody gave me. And I asked these people, do you like guns? They went, yeah. I said, well, this one doesn't work, but I like to trade it for something. What have you got? And I trade, and I try to get two things for one thing. And then I would sell the one thing, and I would trade the other thing. And then I would do the same thing. So my first trade was, the guy said, yeah, I'd like to have that. I said, what have you got you like to trade? He said, I've got a horse saddle. I said, what else you got? He said, I've got some tires. I said, I'll give you the gun for the saddle and the tires. So I advertised the saddle for sale and got a few $100s for that. And then I traded the tires, believe it or not, for a boat, a used boat and a trailer. And
wow.
So my partner had sold their boat and kept the trailer, and I kept going. And within just a few months, I had made $43,000.
Wow.
I just put $43,000, back, and I was gathering my wealth. And now I have to grow that wealth. So I had just learned to read, and I said, well, now that I know how to read, I can start a bookstore. So I got a little place and bought some books and sold the books. And the first year was awful. I mean, we were doing like $10 a day, $20 a day. But eventually, we turned that into a multi-million-dollar company. We took it from zero to over $250 million. I started opening more stores and more stores and more stores and gathering more wealth. So wealth is education, about how you get wealthy is all about wealth education.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's a good thing for you to remember, Obi.
Yeah.
The people who get wealthy are the people who decide to get wealthy.
Right.
Somebody else decides to do something else. But, they're talking about there's an income gap. Well, there's no income gap. There is actually a learning gap. And once you learn how to gather wealth with the simplest things, then you can gather wealth, you can grow wealth, you can allocate the wealth or invest the wealth, protect it, and then enjoy it, and then pass it on to your family. And that's how it all started. Then there's other stories, and you have a lot of couples that listen to this, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, let me tell you a story about a lady that I knew. Her name was Jones. Her name was Alice Jones, and she worked in a department store. And I was talking to her one day, and I had this store, and we needed her to work on the weekends, or we needed her to come in early, but she just wouldn't do it. And so I said, Miss Jones, can you work this weekend? She said, Mr. Aucoin, I don't do weekends. And I said, well, we paid double time. She said, I don't do weekends. I said, well, can you come in early? We'll pay time and a half. She said, I don't do early and I don't do late. I said, why not? She said, well, I don't need your money. And I said, what do you mean you don't need the money? She said, I just don't need your money. And I said, listen, I write your paychecks. You're not making much money. Why don't you need the money? She says, the plan. And so I asked her, I said, can you tell me this plan? She said, well, no, I'm busy right now. I said, well, I'll take you to lunch. So we went to lunch. And here's what she told me. She said, my husband and I got married, and we've been married over 40 years. And this is good for all your couples to know. She said, we've been married over 40 years. And we got married. We sat down and talked. And we decided to never, ever cash one of my checks. We would live off of his income, and we would invest the rest. So for 40 years, I've never cashed a paycheck. I just put it in the bank, and we invested it.
Wow.
I said, well, I paid for it. We put 2 kids through college. We go to the movies. We go to Disney World. And I said, well, what else has happened? She says, I have $1.8 million in savings.
Wow.
She says, I'm not going to work the weekends, and I'm not going to come in early. Now, that was 30 years ago, Obi.
Right.
What kind of money we work today.
Right.
So it's just a matter of what you do with your money. Not how much money you make. Because I wasn't making any money, and we got filthy rich. Just doing simple little things. Just simple little things.
Wow. Uncle Frank, it's crazy. No matter how many times I hear that story, it always hits me like it's the first time.
That was my first time.
Yeah. And Uncle Frank, I'm telling you, that's such an amazing story. And it reminds me of that book, The Millionaire Next Door. Because a lot of folks that are listening, they think that, to have money, I got to have, to make money, I got to have money. Right. Or to move from whatever couple of thousand I'm making a year to doubling or tripling that. Oh man, I should have done it when I was single. Or oh man, I gotta wait till the kids get out of college. Or oh man, I gotta get a better job. Or you know what? Once I pay off this car, there's always some day, right? That famous 8th day of the week. But Uncle Frank, listen to your stories. You obviously don't believe that. What do you have to say about that?
No, it's not true. It doesn't matter. I hear people say, I'm not educated, I can't sell, I can't do this, I can't do that. And none of that's true. I mean, I'm black, I'm white, I'm Hispanic, I'm Asian. There's always something, but it has nothing to do with that.
Right.
Literally. And I'll just jump right into this. I mean, let me give you one more example. Then I think the example about the couple will help a lot of couples here.
Yes.
Even if we put half of their salary back, we could do this. But think about it. If you're earning money and your wife is earning $50,000 a year, and you just put back $25,000 a year, and in 4 years you could have $100,000.
Right.
4 years just living off your salary and half of her salary, or vice versa. Now you buy a $100,000 house cash, and you'll never have a house payment the rest of your life. And then you do it again the next year, and you pay off your car. And pretty soon, all the money you're making is staying in your pocket, not going to somebody else's. Because here's what happens, Obi. And I'll just do this. If you're here, and there's 2 roads, and you get money, you can send them down this road to the left. They go down the road and they never come back. They've left you and they're not coming back. You can send it down this road, send your money down here, and it goes out and it brings back more and more money to you. And this is where you're supplying something to somebody. And I'll give you another for instance. My son, Brian, I think you met Brian at one time.
Yes, I did. I even have his audio series. Yes, sir.
Yeah, when rich people, we never teach our children to go to school and get a good education and get a job. That's not even mentioned in rich people's houses. We say go to school, get a good education, have a lot of fun, and get everybody's name, and later they can work for you. That's an important.
Wow.
And you've heard the old saying about, if you give a man a fish, you feed him for what?
A day.
If you teach him to fish, you feed him what?
For a lifetime.
That's right.
Well, that's what the poor and middle class do. That passage was not written for rich people. That's what the poor and middle class do. Rich people could think like this. Well, if I owned a lake, I'll get paid no matter who fishes in it.
Wow. Does
that make any sense at all?
It makes a world of sense.
Yes.
It's just a little different. It's just a little different, but that difference makes all the difference in the world.
Yes.
In the mindset.
So my son, by the time he was 8, and he knew about this, he knew that he needed to figure out a way to gather wealth. And we talk about it all the time in our house and around our friends. How can we teach our children to do really good in life? Because once you have financial stability, you have emotional stability, joy, happiness, peace, and freedom in your life. But if you have no financial stability, there's a real possibility you'll never be emotionally stable, and you won't have much joy in your house, happiness in your life, much peace in your life, and much freedom in your life, because you're always tied up with some job and you're working all those hours.
Right.
Send your money out. You're either going to send it out, so it'll stay out, or you'll send it out and it'll bring back more and more.
Right. Yes.
So here's what he did, Obi. At 7 years old, he came to me and he said, Dad, I want to set up my first business. And I said, what do you want to set up? He said, well, I don't really know. I said, well, let's talk about it. So we talked about 3 or 4 different options. And he decided he wanted to sell peanuts. Now, Obi, I don't know if y'all have you know what boiled peanuts are?
Oh yeah, my wife loves them. She's pregnant, remember?
Okay. Well, I love boiled peanuts too. He did too. He loved boiled peanuts. And so he had saved all his money for 7 years because, we give him like $2 a week for an allowance. And he knew to put back 50%.
Right.
50% every week he put down. And if somebody gave him $20 for Christmas, he put back $10.
Right.
So kid, you gotta, you can't spend it all. You got to put some back so you can live.
Yeah.
So he bought this peanut cart. It was 23 foot long. It had all the pots in there to boil the peanuts, but he's 8 years old, he can't drive it. But he wanted to start this peanut business. I said, that's fine. And then he hired a retired insurance agent, an executive that loved boiled peanuts. And the guy would take it on Friday and Saturday and Sunday to the fairgrounds and sell peanuts. And they would split the money. Well, my son, at 8 years old, was making $4,000 a month. He was making more than the teacher was making in school, and he's 8 years old.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Because he understood that if you have an asset that's throwing off income, then your asset don't have to work.
Right. Right. Exactly.
You understand? So
wow.
started that first little business. Now he's got a business, and he has like 100 or 200 stores that handle his products. He sells on the internet, but he sends his money out, and it brings back more and more and more and more money.
Right.
It out, it doesn't come back, you're in bad shape.
Right.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah, you know, Uncle Frank, too many of us take that road on the left where that money is just going.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. I was talking to a friend of ours the other day who is already very wealthy. The gentleman is worth several $1 million, and he made his first million at 21 or 18 or 21, if I'm not mistaken. And he said he burned through so much money, even when he got wealthy, until he realized that he had to put himself on a budget. So he said, even as a wealthy person, he has to put himself on a budget. Mm-hmm. If not, he ends up with zero money at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me draw it for you here real quick. You've got a person here, and you got a person here. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And this gentleman does not know the difference between an asset and a liability.
Right.
This guy knows the difference between an asset and a liability.
Right.
Now remember, when an asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket.
Right.
Well, if you don't understand that if you are just buying liabilities and spending your money, you're going to be poor.
Right.
Here's what people do, Obi. They start out with life's merry-go-round like this. And I'm sure you've been on a merry-go-round.
Oh, yeah.
And
Get married.
So they start out here, and they're young, and the first thing they do is get this cell phone.
Yep.
And now they've got a cell phone bill.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get a computer. And now they've got the internet stuff and the cell phone bill going.
Mm-hmm.
Then they buy this little car. And now they got car payments, gas payments, and all that stuff. Then they meet this little girl, right?
Yep.
And maybe they get married. And then they buy this house. Then they have this kid.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get the boat.
Yep.
And you know how it is on a merry-go-round. You can push it around.
Yep.
And have fun.
Right.
Every time you put something on this merry-go-round, it gets a little heavier.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
But you can't jump on and have fun at all because you're just pushing this thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get a dog, little dog over here. Then they get a jet ski. Is there anything on there that's making them money?
Nope. Nope.
All going out.
They're all what? They're all liabilities.
Yes, sir.
So here's my counsel to all the people listening. Be very careful what you put on this merry-go-round. Because you're going to pay for it the rest of your life.
Right.
How long do you think, Obi, that you'll have to pay for lights in your house?
Till the day God calls me home.
Actually,
and how long do you think you'll have a phone bill or an internet bill?
Till the day He calls me home.
And you'll have insurance bills. Well,
yeah.
That's going to last the rest of your life. And
right.
You need something to pay for it, right?
Yes.
So does this make any sense? Try to keep all this stuff off of here until you have an asset that's paying for it before you put it on here.
Right.
The couches in my house, now we've been living in this house over 30 years. And my wife and I, we bought those couches. We raised our kids on those couches.
Right.
Really nice couches, don't get me wrong.
Right.
Our kids grew up and left home. Now the grandkids are still on those same couches.
Right.
They were good when we got them, and they're still good now. We don't buy stuff just to buy stuff. I mean, they're as comfortable as any couch in the world. They look nice, they're beautiful, but they let this 30 years. But some people would go, I want to change that.
Right.
Well, if you take Warren Buffett, and you know who that is,
Yes, sir.
he's living in the same house he bought when he got married to his wife.
Right.
Had some of the same furniture in there they bought when they got it.
Right.
And he always had an asset paying for the stuff before he got it on there. That's pretty interesting.
Oh yeah. Wow.
That makes sense. So here's I'm going to show you an amazing drawing.
Okay.
Here's what life looks like to most people. Can you see this drawing? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So here's your little house, right? And here's your and you got a wife, and in your case, you've got 5 kids, but we'll just put 1 kid here.
Right.
And when you go to work, they pay you. This is your job, right?
Yes. Yes.
So you're down here like this, and you're trying to hold this whole teeter-totter up.
Right.
Just like this. So you've got maybe 1 person bringing money in the house, or maybe 2.
Right.
Money in. But most people have all these people taking money out of their house. They have a house payment, they have lights, they have water, they have sewage, they have the internet, they have the phone, they got car payment, they got credit card payments, they got insurance on the car, insurance on the house, they have food.
Right.
And so you got reoccurring bills constantly.
Yeah.
And you're down there just holding this sucker up like this. Well, if this goes away, this whole thing teeter-totters and you crash.
Right.
Where people go bankrupt.
Right.
This is you know, they get bankrupt, some of them go homeless.
Right.
So what you want to do, if you have a business, and you don't have a business until you have customers, or if you're in direct sales or network marketing or or in real estate, if you have customers, if you have a business where you are supplying a product to people, every customer you put down here, and they're buying from you, they're helping you hold that up. You see me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So, in your case, you know, I know y'all have some businesses, right?
Yes, sir.
What's one of your businesses?
Tax company.
Okay. So every customer you got, you're no longer the one bringing the money in. They're bringing you money for doing the service, right?
Yes, sir.
And how many, you have thousands of customers, don't you, in your offices?
Yes, sir.
And most people just have their self.
Right.
If you have thousands of people holding this thing up, you can literally walk away and have somebody run this, and you can live anywhere and earn from everywhere.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It makes a world of sense, sir.
And here's what happens. This person that works will work 5 days a week to 6 days a week. They will work 40 hours a week for 40 years, 93,500 hours, doing something they can't own, can't sell, and can't leave to their family.
Wow.
It's crazy. And you're enslaved.
Wow.
And that's a real shame. I mean, because people just don't know.
Right.
They just don't know.
Right.
So when you have enough people, now this could also be real estate. You could buy houses and everybody pays rent. It doesn't matter what this is down here. As long as there's money coming in from those assets, then you don't have to be the only asset. If something happened to you right now, your wife may not be able to go out and do everything, but if you've got all these basic clients or you got these houses out producing income, you could be gone and she could still do fine.
Right.
Like if I die during this interview,
hopefully not.
My wife won't feel it at all because I'm not what's producing income anymore.
Right.
Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it
100%.
Yeah. You just don't want to be down here holding this up by yourself. Now, if you think about this, Obi, there's 7 billion people on Earth.
Yes.
7, and you got this Earth sitting here, and you have 7 billion people. And every one of them, all day long, are trying to do one of 3 things.
Right.
They're either trying to get something, keep something, or get rid of something.
Right.
If your product helps them get it, keep it, or get rid of it, you can make a fortune.
Wow.
No matter what that product service is.
Right. Wow.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Totally, Uncle Frank. You haven't taught me this one yet. I'm wide open.
Well, here's the deal. There's 2 economies on Earth.
Right.
And everybody thinks there's only one economy. Because when I do talks around the world, invariably some CEO or somebody will walk up and say, Mr. Coin, what do you think about the economy? And I say, which economy? And they say, what do you mean? I said, well, there's 2 economies. And they want to explain that. So I'm going to explain to your people.
Right.
On this internet. Because if they understand this is written, this is the foundation of all wealth right here. There's 2 economies out here. And 97% of the people, 97% of the people are poor middle class. And 3% of the people are wealthy. And here's the 2 economies. And I know this because I was poor and I've been middle class and then I got wealthy.
Right.
I really remember what I did here. All these people go to work for those hours. All those hours, there's 40 hours a week, 93,000 some hours of their lifetime.
Right.
And they go to work and they get money and they look at the world and say, what can I buy? All they want to do is buy. 97% of them are just buyers. They earn it. They look at the world and go, what can I buy? This person out here. They just look out and say, what can I buy? Some buy houses and waters and jet skis and cars and da-da-da-da-da-da. So, that's their whole life. Rich people, we don't do that. We get up and we say, what can we supply? Now, if all you're doing is buying, sooner or later you will be crying.
Right.
If you start supplying, sooner or later you're going to be flying.
Right.
Because 97% of the people in the world, worldwide, Africa, Australia, New Zealand, England, anywhere, 97% of them are buying and only 3% of us are supplying.
Right.
So all you have to do is say, what can I supply and how many people do I supply? And the more you supply, the richer you get.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
But here's what happens. People earn a living based on how the world occurs to them.
Right.
Because they haven't been educated. There's not an earning gap, there's a learning gap.
Right.
But most people around the world, especially in overseas, not in America so much, but they work with their hands, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you got somebody that's out here working with their hand. Now, you know people who work with their hands, right?
Yeah.
And they're carpenters, they're bricklayers, they're hairdressers, they're mechanics, they're welders. They do pipe work. In this country, now I don't know how it is in other countries, but in this country, anybody that works with their hands, that's working with their hands, is going to make about $15,000 a year to about $75,000 a year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But after taxes, our taxes, if you count all of them, is about 50%.
Right.
Somebody's making $15,000 a year, they're really not making 15, they're making about 7.
Right.
And they're making 75, they're making about, $30,000, $37,000 a year.
Right.
If you're only making $37,000, you've got 5 kids getting ready to have 6. Could you live in the house you're living in if you made $37,000 a year?
Uncle Frank, we would be homeless.
You would be homeless.
Yes.
What if you made $15,000?
Oh my gosh, we would be homeless and begging for anything.
And so, if people don't realize this, though, because they say, well, I'm really good with my hands, so it occurs to me, I should work with my hands. Because we all do things based on how the world occurs to us. That's how it occurred to me when I first started.
Right.
Washing dishes, I was working in car lots. Washing cars, washing dishes. I was cutting grass, I was doing construction. It occurred to me I was good with my hands, so I could do that. As I got smarter, it occurred to me that I could work with my head. Because then I learned some stuff, and I was learning how to manage stuff. And things got a little better. I mean, if you work with your head, you're in management, or you're in sales, or you're doing something like that, you're going to make about $25,000 to about $125,000 a year, which is better than this.
Right.
But after taxes, that $25,000 turns into about $13,000.
Right.
And that $125,000 turns into about $70,000.
Right.
So based on what you used to make a living is how you're going to get paid.
Right.
Now there's exceptions to this, but they're very rare.
Right.
If someone's working with their hands, what happens when they can't work with their hands anymore? Now that thing back there, they're holding up, it falls.
Right.
If you're working with your head, you can only work so many hours a day, but if you're not working, that whole thing just tips over again.
Right.
Well, that's what poor middle class people do. The rich people over here, this guy. Now, remember what I said, that 97% of the people buy, and the 3% do what?
Supply.
They supply. So this person, someone like myself or like you, how would I say this? Like when I was coming up, I didn't want to be poor middle class, so I decided not to do what they do. I just decided to supply what they want to buy.
Mm.
You understand that?
Yes, I do.
I don't care if you're supplying the poor, the middle class, or the rich. If you supply what they buy, then you'll get rich.
That's right.
So this person sets up a network. Like y'all have more than one tax office, right?
Yes, sir.
So you're supplying the poor tax service, and they give you money. And you're supplying the middle class people tax service, and they give you money.
Yep.
Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've heard that old saying that the poor get poor and the rich get rich.
Right.
Everybody knows that. And the reason is, all they're doing is buying and giving you the money. They send it down a one-way street to the people who supply.
Right.
If they want a hamburger, they go to somebody that set up a network of hamburger stores. If this guy wants a Mercedes, he goes to somebody that set up a network of car dealerships. If they want a loan, they go to somebody that set up a network of banks.
Mm.
Once this person gets all this money, they take that money, and around the world, they set up more networks. Now there's people all over the world. It's going boom, 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 and they're always coming back like this. It stays like this.
Right.
And they keep about 75% of it and send about 25% back over here so these people can work with them.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
But it's so simple to understand. This is how money has been made forever.
Right.
People have worked with their hands, they worked with their head, and other people became suppliers and not just buyers.
Right.
Wow.
So, very simple.
It's called a refined study of the obvious.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree. So Uncle Frank, let me ask you a question here, because you've done a great job in laying the foundation. So let's build on this. So now let's assume we've got people that are watching who may already have a business. Maybe they've got a traditional brick and mortar business. Maybe they're doing the business catering out of their home in the basement. Or maybe they're in network marketing and they're doing their best to get it going. So basically, they've already got a seed, if you will, and now they just want to multiply it. You've taught me so many concepts, but the one that I don't want to steal your thunder, I'd rather have you share it. But the one where you taught me that about the product being seen and the rest of that, do you mind sharing and speaking to that?
I'll be happy to. But let me cover one other thing, but remind me of that, okay?
Sure.
Everybody's trying to create income streams. You've heard of it.
Yes, sir.
There are books written on it, multiple streams of income, create multiple streams of income.
Right.
Well, they don't understand that. That sounds good, but in reality, it's really hard. Because if you're out there yourself creating all these streams of income, it's like pushing 4 or 5 cars up a hill. So you push them one, the other 4 come back. Then you got that one up, and then you go and push one more, and this come back. You never stop working. So instead of creating income streams, you want to produce income teams that create the streams. You see the difference?
Yeah.
Income teams.
Right.
The streams, it's about building the teams that create the streams. So in this case, what you did is you created a stream of income with your tax office. You and your wife, I remember when y'all started, y'all were doing taxes. Once you learn what you did, then you put together a team and you put them in the other store.
Right.
And then you create another team and you put them in the other store. And another team, you put them in the other store.
Right.
Now you don't have to create the streams. The teams create the streams.
Understood.
It's really simple. And here's a real big part of this. You're no longer focused on all these things. You're focused on one thing, and that's the team and building the people around them. And then you can walk away and it keeps producing income. Then you can open up the next one and do income. Now you've got income teams producing the streams.
Right.
Does that clarify that?
Yes, it does.
All right, now I'll get back to the other question, because that's really an important thing you talked about.
Yes, sir.
No matter how good your product or service is, I mean, you can be the nicest person, you can be the greatest Christian, you can be the greatest husband, the greatest wife, you can be the greatest grandfather, you can work in the church, and you've got a product, and none of that matters. I mean, you can just have the greatest product, the greatest guarantee, the greatest price, the greatest service, but here's what you were talking about. Here you are, and you want this person to see your product or service, so you can supply it to them.
Right.
But until that person either sees your product, or hears about your product, or reads about your product, or people are talking about it, this product you're trying to supply is homeless. So your job as an entrepreneur, as a business person, every day is to say, how do I get my product seen? How do I get it heard? How do I get read about? And how do I get people talking about it?
Right.
Because until this person sees this product or service, it might as well not exist. And you might as well not exist.
Right.
And there's not going to be any money coming into your house. So you got to figure out how to get it seen, heard, read about, and talked about.
Yes, sir.
And there's only 4 ways to do that. You want me to cover those?
Yes, please.
How bad do you want me to cover this?
Very bad. I'm waiting.
I don't want to leave you hanging, so I just want to. So I hope people understand that you can have the best church in the world, you can have the best restaurant in the world, you can have the best tire store in the world, the best anything. But until somebody sees it, or hears about it, or reads about it, and people all over the neighborhood are talking about it, it might as well not exist. And so it's not just about having a product or service or being a nice person or a guarantee or price is right or anything like that. You've got to let people know you're there. So either one of 4 things has to happen for you to get it seen, heard, read about, and talked about. Either you're going to go out and you're going to tell everybody about it, or you have another associate that's going to go out and tell people about it, or you're going to use some kind of a tool or an event. So let me go through those. So every day you would go out and you'd say, hey, listen, when you get ready to get your taxes done, you can come right down the street and you give them a tool, you give them a flyer or a coupon or something. But you're only going to see maybe 10 or 20 people a day.
Right.
If you've got other associates doing that, I mean, you're doing good. Or you can use TV, mail, billboards, the internet. Like the internet's fantastic. You can put it on an event, say, how to save 50% on your taxes, and people show up. So every day you have to ask yourself, how many people am I telling about my product? How many associates I have telling people about products?
Mm-hmm.
How many tools do I have out to tell people about products? And how many events am I putting on? So
Right.
all these people now can see your product, hear about your product, and people all in the neighborhood are talking about your product. That's how I built every business I've ever built. I know when I go into a city, like we have a chain of bookstores also, and we had them for 35 years and do millions of dollars, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I went into a town like Tampa or Orlando or Jacksonville, where we opened them, I knew that I had to get that store seen, heard, read about, and talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Did this, we'd have never survived. We'd have gone broke.
Right.
But because I understood how to get seen, heard, read about, and talked about, when we opened our sign shop, I have a chain of graphic sign shops. And we do work for Disney, Nickelodeon, Hard Rock Cafe, Planet Hollywood, NASA, Boeing, BMW, Mercedes. We do work for everybody. But they wouldn't have known I existed if I hadn't done this. So what I did was, when I first started those sign shops, I didn't have a lot of money for advertising, so I decided that I said, I'll make the longest sign in the world. It would go over the Empire State Building down the other side. I'll do it in 24 hours, and I would have made the longest sign in the world. And we did it. We made it in 23 hours. With ABC, CBS, NBC, UPI, AP was there. USA Today was there. And we were on like 500 television stations and all these 800 radio stations, telling all the world about how great we were. And that whole promotion cost me $120.
Wow.
Because I decided to do something.
Yes.
If you're going to become a remarkable person, you need to do something worth remarking about. So,
Right.
So I hope that kind of cleared up what you were talking about.
Yes. Yes, it did. And it reminds me of the one you taught me this week. You're not going to get wealthy off what you're going to do.
Yeah. You've heard people say that all your life, right?
No, you told me that one 2 days ago.
I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Hey, listen, they have all the intentions in the world.
Oh, yeah.
But intentions won't put your money in the bank account. You got to go do something.
That's right.
Okay.
Good stuff, man. Man, Uncle Frank, I promise you, I hope people that are watching can truly appreciate the value that you're delivering. Because, listen, Uncle Frank, my dad never taught me this. My mom never taught me this. My uncles never taught me this. I never had aunties that taught me. No one in my family taught me these things. And these are the things that, as the wealthy say, that are hidden in the books. Yeah. Right? And they say leaders are readers, right? And they're hidden in there. And so most people never pick up a book. When they're done with school, they make the mistake I made. And they, like I said, I'm good. I'm happy. I'm never reading a book again. Mm-hmm. And that was like the stupidest thing I could have personally said about me, my future, my family, and everything I wanted to do. So, I mean, if I could ask maybe one question about that, Uncle Frank, how important is it for people to tune into things like, this Facebook Live or pick up a book? In other words, making the discoveries. How important is that?
Well, I think everybody that's watching you have done this before. They all upgrade stuff. They upgrade their car, they upgrade their TV, they upgrade their phone, they upgrade their house, they upgrade their computer. Well, you want to upgrade your mind. If you don't upgrade your mind, then you're going to stay right where you're at. So when they watch these interviews you're doing,
right?
Like I'll be 80 in 4 years.
God bless you, man.
Wow. It's taken me 80 years or 76 years to learn all this. Wow. And they can do that, or they can watch this for a half hour.
Right.
Years.
Yes.
Right.
You want to, when you see a wealthy person going down the street in a nice car and have a nice house, never feel jealous about that. Never.
Right.
God, they have money, because if they have money, they're putting a lot of people to work.
Right.
What you should ask yourself is, I wonder what they supply, and I wonder if I can supply it.
Mm.
Because I'm telling you, the only people who make money in the world are people who supply stuff.
Right.
The only people who get broke in the world are people who just buy stuff and never supply anything.
That's right.
So everyone should just ask yourself, am I working with my hands? And if I am, working just with my hands, I think I got that down right there, wherever it's at. Then I'll probably have to work my hands directly.
Right.
If you tell your children, listen, it's okay if you work with your hands. It's okay if you're a bricklayer, you're a carpenter, you're a mechanic, you're, whatever. But just realize the moment you can't work with your hands anymore, you're going to be broke. And you can only make so much money with your hands.
Right.
With your head, you can do that for a while, but you're never going to make very much money by yourself. I mean, you might make $7,500, $25,000, $200,000, but after taxes, you got to decide if that's okay. And listen, for some people that is great,
Mm-hmm.
but I wanted to do more than that. I wanted to impact the world. My deal was when I learned all this, and I didn't teach this for the first 20 years, maybe the first 15 years, but when I learned it, business people started asking me, and I said, well, listen, you're a captured entrepreneur. You have to go to work every day, working in your store. Just be like you and your wife having to go to taxes every day, taxes. And that never ends if you set it up wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you forget the income streams and start building income teams, then you're not working with your hand or your head. You set up a network of something that's producing the income.
Right.
And that way like my wife and I, we can live anywhere and earn from everywhere.
Hmm.
And listen, I'm the last guy in the world that should have been successful.
Right.
I mean, when you can't read till you're 31, you can't even fill out applications. I had to cheat on my driver's license thing. Sucker. Then when I went down the road, I didn't know what the street sign said.
Mm.
If you told me you lived on Oak Street, there better be an oak tree because I sure would never know it's there. I figured out about the buying and supplying.
Right.
How to get seen, heard, read about, and talked about.
Right.
Figured out how to set up income teams, set up income streams.
Right.
I figured out how to invest the money. And we used to live in that little mobile home.
Right.
Well, once we got everything paid off, now this is not bragging, but I'm just telling you, now we own 40 homes that's paid for.
Wow.
40 families get up every month, go to work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, for 50 weeks a year, for 45 years, and because they rent my house, they send me 30% of all their money.
Wow.
And all I decided to do was stop renting houses for myself and start supplying houses.
Right.
But I could have never bought all those houses for cash had I not, learned to gather wealth and then wealth, allocate the wealth, in other words, invest it in something else, protect the wealth with insurance and stuff,
Right.
enjoy the wealth as much as I can.
Right.
Later, it will be transferred.
Right.
Yes.
Those are simple little lessons. I mean, everybody gets confused and thinks business is really hard. It's not.
Right.
There's people in foreign countries, maybe the country you came from, if they just supply bananas to people.
Right.
I mean, my gosh, how many bananas are eaten worldwide every day?
Exactly.
You can't supply all the
Yeah. Yeah, they'll get rich just on our kids alone, like my wife just said.
a while ago. With the bananas, oranges, grapefruit, it don't matter whether it's straws or chopsticks. No, you don't have to invent something. You don't have to be smart. McDonald's didn't invent the hamburger.
Right.
They supply a lot of hamburgers. Coca-Cola, one of my favorite companies here, Coca-Cola. They supply 1.9 billion 8-ounce drinks a day to the world.
A day?
A day. They're the largest distributed product on earth. Now think what I just said. Their first year in business 125 years ago, their first whole year, they sold less than 50 Cokes.
Wow.
Piece.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Next year they didn't do much better. But then they figured out that if they put it in another store, they could do more. And they put it in another store, they could do more. And now they do 1.9 billion 8-ounce Cokes a day. There's only 7 billion people on earth. So virtually in 3 days, everybody on earth has bought a drink. Which means this. If they just raise their price 1 cent a day, just raise it 1 cent, they would make 18 million more a year. I mean, more a day, per day. 1 cent would give $18 million a day.
Wow.
Because they supply, and here's the reason why. Coca-Cola has been seen, heard, read about, and talked about for 125 years, and they keep doing it.
Right.
They tell people about it. They have associates that tell people about it. They have tools like vending machines that do it, and they put it on the fence. It never changes. It's the same no matter what product or service it is.
Right.
Pretty astounding, isn't it?
It is. It's mind-boggling, Uncle Frank. It really is. And I think the thing that's present for me as a viewer listening to this, if I'm first time hearing you, first time meeting you, hearing of these concepts, what you just did was you awakened this 4-letter word inside of me. It's HOPE, hope. I really believe that that's what's happening to the viewers that are taking the time to listen to you, not the ones that tuned in and then went, oh, I don't know what to talk about. I went back to watching the TV. Not those. Those are still the buyers. But the person who's like, you know what? I know that there's value here. Here's a gentleman who's 76 years old and is taking 76 years of wisdom and putting it into 30, 40 minutes. I mean, Uncle Frank, you are blowing my mind here. I mean, and I've known you for over a decade now.
Oh, yeah.
If I could ask you a question, Uncle Frank, because as we start winding down here, we have a conference, an online conference that's taking place this Tuesday, right after Christmas. And we plan on having you, by the way, on future conferences. Hint, hint to Uncle Frank and others. But if you were to give advice, Uncle Frank, obviously you're a very intelligent, extremely wise individual. With your tenure, with your mental fortitude, with all the I can't even count how many books you've read, all the people you've met, based on all of that knowledge, why would you suggest, even recommend for people to attend the online conference? I mean, the entry point is $97 to get a seat at the conference, and they can watch it from the comforts of their own home, just like they're watching you. They don't have to catch a flight, rent a hotel, watch somebody watch the kids. They don't have to do anything other than make the decision and, like you said, then do something. What would you say to them in terms of being at the conference on Tuesday?
Well, now the conference lasts how long? 8 hours?
Yeah, it's about 8 hours from beginning to end. Yes, sir.
Okay. And they don't have to watch all of it at one time, right?
No, they can download it and watch it and make it a home study course, an hour, 30-minute clips, whatever they decide.
Well, just observe it, because I pay a lot more than that to go to conferences. I'm always at conferences. You got to keep learning. And that 8 hours will change the next 80 years of their life.
Wow.
One thing they learn on there in that 8 hours could not only change 80 years of their life, because most people live to be around 80, but it could change their children's life for generations.
Wow.
Literally generations. Maybe the pastor's going to say something. Maybe the marriage counselor's going to say something. Maybe the guy like me about money is going to say something. That gave you that thing you call hope.
Right.
When people lose hope and dreams, the minute they lose their hopes and dreams, old age and sickness comes right in. It runs in.
Yeah.
The minute you get hopes and dreams back, old age and sickness runs away. Because now you're inspired.
Right.
Does that make sense to you?
That is so strong, Uncle Frank.
8 hours of 80 years of good living.
Right.
Wow.
You may be trouble in your marriage, or you may be having trouble with your children, or you may be having trouble with your health, or you may be having trouble with your finance. And someone who's been through all kinds of stuff says one thing and turns your entire life around, your entire family for generations around.
Wow.
It happened to me 1,000 times.
Wow.
I go someplace, I hear Jim Rohn or Les Brown or Brian Tracy or Mark Victor Hansen or Og Mandino, all these guys, and I pick up a little of this and a little of this and a little of this. Pretty soon you're so full of good stuff,
Right.
If you hang around bad people and broke people, you're going to be bad and broke.
Right.
If you hang around nice people and rich people, you'll probably be nice and rich.
Wow. Wow. Very true.
I'm going to do everything I can to tune in. I'll tell you that right now. It'd be an honor to be on there someday. But I'm telling you that 8 hours could change 80 years of the rest of your life, and it could change your children and your grandchildren for generations.
Right.
Wow.
8 hours.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
And if you don't have the money, go sell something. Go do something to get the money. Borrow the money.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because what is $90 to save your health, or save your marriage, or save your
Change your mind.
or save your community?
Right.
Mhm.
You know, when you make money, you create jobs. I have 70,000 people who work in one of my companies.
Wow.
Had I not learned this, those 70,000 people would not have learned what they've learned.
Wow.
That's in one of my companies.
Mm-mm.
Is that crazy?
That's amazing, Uncle Frank. And
Yeah.
so I
So inspired.
and so I wonder, if you had missed a seminar, how many people would have been deducted from that list?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't hear the question.
No, I said if you had missed the seminar, because you said you attend conferences all the time. So I can only imagine in 76 years how many conferences you've gone to. So I was just saying, what if you missed a conference? Maybe it would have been 1,000 people of that 70 that would still be struggling somehow. And then you missed another one. It's 2,000.
None of them would have. If I didn't go to some of those conferences, none would have jobs.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't learn the difference between an asset and a liability, I'd never have enough assets to build the companies.
Right.
40 homes, I would have never had any of it.
Right.
That's the reason. If they just learned that one thing, that the story about Gladys Jones and her husband put back 50% of her money or 100% of her money and living off his, that one lesson can change anyone's life and listen in here.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That lesson about my son can change anyone's life. And here's my dream and my nightmare. My dream is that everyone that's listening in got this.
Right.
Because it's not so much about you, but it's about all the people that you're going to affect.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
the neighborhood that you're going to be able to live in.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's the schools you'll be able to put your children in. It's the nursing home where the nurses you'll have money to afford because you learned something in that 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
They should cancel anything to be on that 8 hours because they will learn enough to change the rest of their life and maybe for generations.
Wow.
Wow. Man, Uncle Frank, I feel so full, man. Thank you so much. And
Well, you and your wife are two of the generous people I've ever met in my life.
thank
And
you.
you're doing so much good. You have no idea. Just the people listening in tonight, how many lives could be changed. Not because I'm so great, it's because the information is so good.
Right.
Whether they picked it up in a book or picked it up, it doesn't matter where they pick it up, they got it now.
Right.
And no one can take this out of their head.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be wealthy and you want to do something in life where, just think about it, where you're working right now, will you ever really live in a house that you want to live in? Will you ever put your kids into school? Will you ever drive the car? Will you ever go on vacations? Will you be able to do what you want to do for your church or for the orphanage or something? Working where you're working and producing what you're producing. I know I couldn't. I knew if I kept working with my hands or just my head, I couldn't.
Right.
If I could not do what they do, but supply what they buy, I could help them and everybody else.
Right. Right. Wow.
It's a win-win situation. It's like going to heaven without dying.
Right. That's right.
So just going to that 8-hour seminar is like going to heaven without dying.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. You have such a way of putting things so simply.
Yeah.
So
this is just so.
Yeah.
I mean, I am so inspired. I know you guys, my husband and I, you and my husband actually, you guys have conversations all the time, and I don't get to be a part of those conversations, but without fail, for I don't know, as long as he's known you, after every conversation, he'll come back to me so fired up, like, oh, we're implementing this. Oh, this is how we do it. Oh, this. I'm like, I love it, man.
He's kept you so pregnant. You're so busy. You can't.
Hey, Uncle Frank, God told me to be fruitful and multiply, and I'm taking heed.
No, he was talking to all the men in the world. Not just you.
Okay. I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
Listen, I would love to hear from your people that's on the internet and
Yes.
about my personal website.
No, Uncle Frank, please.
Please do.
Listen, I don't have one object that they can buy. I'm not selling them anything. I just would like to hear if they got anything out of this at all.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd love to have a chat with them.
Yeah.
It's Frank Aucoin at yahoo.com. And I would just love to hear from some of the people that are listening into this worldwide. Because I know you have 40,000 or 25,000 people that listen in.
Yes.
Yeah, Uncle Frank, it's actually a lot more. But Uncle Frank, that's your email. So just to make sure everybody gets it, my wife is actually going to post it now.
I'm posting it in the link.
Yeah, she's going to post it now. So
the
Aucoin is Aucoin. So Frank Aucoin.
AUCOIN at yahoo.com.
At Yahoo, yeah.
Text me too.
Yeah.
Text.
Right.
If I dare do this because maybe someone will come in. Can I give a phone number?
Yes, hey, but let me just put there's a word of caution out there. Do me a favor, you guys. He's a very busy gentleman, and I do want to be respectful of his wife's time and life with him, and of course all the things he's obligated to do. So please, 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 just text him.
Let's just stick to the email.
All right, let's do that. Let's do that.
That may be safer.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, because
the last time I did this one other time on a smaller call, right? And it was all like all night. I mean, just listen to all of you worldwide here. My dream is that all of you got this. My nightmare is one of you didn't get this.
Wow.
Because if you don't get it, then you may not have the money to do what you want to do in your life and take care of your children or your grandchildren or help other people that you want to help or just help yourself. I mean, don't worry about what's going to happen when you get rich. Everybody says, I don't want to get rich. I don't know what kind of person I'll be. Well, you'll be the same kind of person you are right now.
Right.
If you're a booger, you're going to be a real snot.
That's right.
If you're a drunk, you're going to really be able to drink. But if you're a nice person, you'll be a nicer person.
That's right.
Two things. So the dream is that all of you got this, and just one little piece of it. You don't have to own a business, but it helps because you're blind. But if you would take the Gladys Jones story and my son's story, and gather the money, put some of it back, invest the money, and grow the money, and then invest the money, then you'll be able to leave money and enjoy money. So we're not saying that everybody's going to be a business owner, but I think you ought to.
Wow.
Because there's 7 billion people on Earth, and only a few billion of us are supplying all those people, and we might be tired of doing that, and you need to help us.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So, Uncle Frank, man, we could be on here for another hour. I promise you, I've got so many questions in my head. But let me just ask you this as we close. Any final thoughts? If there was anything that you can leave with the people today, I mean, here you are. You've been on the other side of money so long that it's not even an issue anymore. I mean, you've got more money than you could probably spend in this lifetime. But if there was anything you can give the folks that are listening, what would you give them from a place of legacy? What would you share with the folks that are watching?
Well, that's a very good question. So I'll put it like this, that smart people don't invest their money first. They invest in education first, and they create relationships. Then they invest in education and build relationships. And all through your life, if you continue to upgrade yourself and invest in education and build relationships, you'll build a good life. If you think that education is expensive, try being broke. That's expensive. That's costly right there. So get all the education you can. There's only a few areas. You got your finances, your health, right? Your marriage, how you feel about yourself, and change the pictures in your head. In other words, there's only two reasons we do anything in our life. What we do, how we do it, who we're with, where we live, everything is only based on 2 things. And that is the words you say to yourself and the pictures in your head.
Right.
Once you change the words you say to yourself and the pictures in your head, the picture was, you thought, I'll work my hands. Another picture is, I'll work my head. The other picture is this. Once you change the pictures and change the words, your whole life turns around. So always invest in education and building relationships, because that's all we have. And you'll have more joy, more happiness, more peace, and more freedom in your life. And listen, if you're in a marriage where there's no joy, no happiness, no peace, and no freedom, you need to sit down and have a talk about it. And that would be the goal.
Oh, yeah.
It's joyful being around my wife. We've been married 45 years. It's a joy. I'm peaceful around her. I'm happy. I have joy. I have happiness. I have peace, and I have freedom because I can be who I want to be around her, and her to feel the same way about me.
Right.
If you don't have joy, happiness, peace, and freedom in your career, if it's not a joy to go to work, then you might want to change work. If you're not happy and you don't have freedom there. So my deal is that you just have to have joy, happiness, peace, and freedom in every area of your life.
Right.
Just change the pictures in your head and go do something different.
Wow.
I count, keep learning and keep building relationships. Because you want, Obi, I hope I know you and your wife for the rest of my life. I know y'all live longer and longer now. But I want to be a witness to your life and where your life goes.
Wow.
You've been a witness to my life up to this point for 10 years.
Yes, sir.
And I've seen you, some of your friends that you ran around with that made different decisions and went a different route than you went.
Yep.
I've watched those people.
Yep.
You and your wife have taken, the right road.
Right.
You can take the left road and leave the whole thing, or you can take the right road and you're all right. So.
Right. Wow. Uncle Frank, thank you.
Oh, it has been an absolute pleasure and an honor.
Thank you, Uncle Frank. I am really grateful. From my wife and I, we really want to thank you, Uncle Frank, for sharing. Because, too often we always see folks like you on TV for a quick minute, or we read about you in a book, in a magazine. Yeah. But, for you to take the time, to share. And I can tell that you were sharing from your heart. I mean, you held nothing back, and you're just giving it away for free. And I pray that the folks that are listening, I think the best compliment that anybody can give a mentor, a teacher, or the best thank you can give someone who shared something into your life is to go do something with what they shared. Absolutely. And so I highly encourage folks to give you that thank you, that one day your name will appear in their story, that I got on this Facebook Live, and that's what made all the difference. Yeah. I heard this gentleman, Frank, I don't remember, but it has something to do with money, coins, Frank Aucoin, and it changed my life. Yes. And so, Uncle Frank, on behalf of my wife and the folks, wherever they are in the world watching this video tonight, we offer nothing but love, gratitude, and light in your direction. May God bless you, keep you healthy, and give you many, many more years. Thank you, sir.
Well, do me one last favor.
Yes.
Teach whatever you want to your children, your 6 children.
Yes, sir.
Because if you don't teach it to them, they won't know, and they'll end up doing something different. So that's my request, is the people listening in here, don't hold the information in. They teach their children. I hope someone drew the pictures.
Yes.
The pictures, because if you don't have a picture in your head, it goes nowhere.
Yes.
So it's been an honor and a pleasure and a privilege, and I hope everybody does send me an email and let me know what you thought about the thing. Y'all yourself, okay? Hope to see you again.
Yeah.
Thank you, Uncle Frank. God bless you.
Good night now.
Good night.
Yeah, good night.
Well, hey, Facebook family, this has been amazing. It really has. And we thank you for, again, tuning in with us. We were blessed highly tonight. I've been trying to get a hold of this gentleman for weeks, you all. That's how busy he is, because people want a piece of him. As you can tell, you can see why. And so I'm grateful that he was able to be with us tonight. And let me tell you all this. Remember, take advantage of the promotions and the things that are out for the conference. Yes. Go back to the Covenant Marriage page and check out the stuff that's there. In terms of taking advantage of it, we still have the offers for the Christmas gift and the TCC, the CEO circuit, with the sponsored tickets that they have for you all. Please make sure you take advantage of those. We have the rules and of course the qualifications, and there's nothing you can do about it. God bless you all. Yes, get registered. You heard Uncle Frank.
It's only a few more days away. Register.
Yes.
So this is just a little bit of what you'll get. Yes.
All right, you guys have a great night. Bye bye.
God bless you. Bye bye.